And then this should get permanent challenger from the banner. Yep. For today's video, I wanted to revisit playing Jarvan, and I know that I already did a very heavy Bannerman style Demacian elites list, but I started thinking about what it would look like if I paired Jarvan with Renekton, and I had played Renekton in Demacia because of Cataclysm for Croc Week, and I wanted to revisit that as well because Cataclysm is so great with Jarvan, and now that Jarvan is, you know, much better after the buff, I wanted to explore the archetype. And so this is kind of a hybrid because we've got a mini elite package, just enough to play cards like Squire and take advantage of Cataclysm, but then we also have, you know, the Renekton side of things. So we're going to go through the list, and it's going to start with 2 copies of Cytherea and 3 copies of Squire. I wanted to have more early game drops with this list, and I also wanted to make sure I have enough elites to trigger cards like Squire and to take advantage of Battlesmith. So we're going this route. 3 copies of Exhaust. This is an interesting card because it can have like anti-synergy with cards like Jarvan, for example, if Exhaust is played on cards with 2 attack power or less, because they're not striking you, they're not, you know, dealing that damage when you're attacking into them, and so they don't help level up Jarvan. But this card is still really good for Renekton, and for that reason alone, I think it's worth including. It's also still really good at transforming cards like Rider, so we're going with it. It also can be played on cards with more than 2 attack power, and in those cases you still get the credit for Jarvan. So Exhaust, Cytherea, Squire. Battlesmith, because we are still running a decent amount of elites and I wanted stuff to do on 2. Similarly, Honored Lord, because we're still doing the challenge thing, we're still running elites. Sharp Sight's premier card. 3 copies of Cataclysm this time around. This is our primary removal, but it's also the way that we're hoping to take advantage of cards like Renekton, for example. Green Fang Warden. So this is an elite, and it also has Scout. So it is wonderful for playing Cataclysm on this to kind of give you a pseudo rally if it's not your turn, because the Scout portion will trigger, and then it gives you the attack token back. Because it has barrier, it's also really good for the Jarvan shenanigans. If you do, for example, play this and then you play Cataclysm when it still has the barrier, that's going to count in your favor. We're also running 1 copy of Plaza in this list, so if he comes down after Plaza, you get credit in that regard. This is certainly not like a great card, but I think that it's worth including in this list for a number of reasons. 2 copies of Rider. We're a little bit low here just because it's competing with Renekton on 4, and we'd prefer to be playing this on 4 most of the time. And then obviously Renekton. A 1 of Rite of Negation. I'd love to get this up to a 2, but this is already a pretty crowded list. And then at 5, we've just got the powerhouse of Ruin Runner. It's still amazing. Along with Swiftwing Lancer. I wanted to run this instead of the Dragon because this creates more elites in hand, and we're not super heavy elites, so that's kind of nice. And then Jarvan with a 1 of on King Jarvan on the top end. So this is my non-Bannerman version. I don't know which one I like more quite yet, but we're going to take this for a spin. We're going to play a couple games so you can see it in action. As always, deck code will be in the video description, and let's dive into the games now. Azir Lucian. You know, it's so funny, when the expansion first came out, I saw tons of Azir Lucian, and then it kind of died down. But it's been making quite the comeback since the patch. So we're gonna start with Squire in the elite, and I think I want to start with Cataclysm here as well. And we get another elite, but you still open with Squire here, I think. Oh, wow. So we're gonna have Squire into 2 1-drops on the following round. This is a rather nice, aggressive opener, I think, for us, all things considered. Yep, I think they take this because they would just challenge into this any other time in all likelihood. So we'll go ahead and Squire up, and then next round we can even banner into Lord, or we can Green Fang. I like banner into Lord just because it has a lot of implications, and then we still have a second banner for Warden at a later date. Them passing on 2 is is not great for them.
For the prince.
So we're gonna go ahead and do this. And take our damage, I guess. I expect maybe a Zir to come down here since they've been passing the whole way through. Yeah, but it's too, I mean, it's too juicy to not deal 7 damage there. Like, we could have passed to punish them, but then a Zir comes down anyway. So they go with a Deus. This is an interesting spot because we would love to play this with a banner. We'd love to play this with a banner. Playing this right now with the barrier isn't great, but it sets up Cataclysm plays later. But I honestly think we're just going to end up banking our spell mana this round. All right, I take it back. We're going to play this because it can block and make use of the barrier at this point. And so instead they're just going to do this, and so we're just going to go block, block, block. Well, they could have buffs, but we want to get this banner on here because then he can swing into the Azir. And another one.
We must all do our duty.
The Vanguard will have to follow.
But right now we're looking to take decent control of the board. We don't have a great way to utilize the scout here unless we just send this to its doom.
Show them the might of our army.
But I think that's fine. So the interesting bit right now is that we can take out a Azir potentially. We can get some damage on this, and then we could exhaust into this if we wanted to. Just to further keep the board under control. But getting some damage on this would be nice because it sets up a Cataclysm for the next round.
To the field.
And so we want to do something like this, something like this, and something like this.
I've learned a trick or two.
And so they keep the Azir alive, which will force us to make a decision this next round as far as our Cataclysm target goes. But I think it's going to end up being on the Azir because we can do something like this, for example, which gives us the rally effect. Because again, this was a scout. And with them only at 3 cards, yes, they're getting to the point where this deck ramps up. Oh, interesting. So they're going to do that. And what are we going to do? I mean, we're for sure going to take this out. I think it's just a matter of what we do with the rest. I think we send them, but we keep this back. We just want to get some extra pressure in. We have Jarvan for dealing with this or whatever's left of it this next round. We could, I mean, this is going to have to crash into something eventually. And this still goes down to 3 attacks. So I guess we could also just get rid of this for posterity reasons. I think that's fine.
Act what you're yapping. Yep, time for another whooping.
And they're just going to pass without attacking, so we'll take it. I think we slow play this
The king.
because this is the next time you summon an ally, so we can give Jarvan permanent challenger, right? Like we can do
For
this,
the prince. Prince Jarvan.
and then
Goodness, you're all right.
this should
Yourself, Squire.
get permanent challenger from the banner. Yep.
How you doing?
And then this turns into a Cataclysm for future rounds as well.
Ours is but soldiers of Demacia.
We also have leveled Jarvan up here.
Sun's light.
I mean, our board's getting thin and we're running out of cards, but we've worn them thin, and it's a 20-1, so we're doing our job as far as fighting for the board.
To the flag.
And we get the surrender. So game 1 in the books. This seemed to go quite well, and we're gonna go pilot another game.
Soldiers.
Kindred Nasus. So they are on the Slay game plan, which, depending on the way they've built this, could be still very low to the ground. Like they could be running the kinds of Nasus decks that I run that have those explosive Butcher, Keeper, Arc Beast starts. So this will be a bit interesting. Our hand isn't terrible though. Double squires when we have Lord and Renekton is nice.
Your prince
This will
needs
poke us
you.
though, because we can't stop the fearsome.
I must reach the
Considering that we want to save these banners for things like Lord and so forth, I think we
king. Actually here.
still do this. And this is exactly what I was talking about. So this is a deck that can be capable of some very fast starts, but I think we still attack into this. With them getting down to 3 cards, if we can whittle away their board before they find their glimpses or their leeches, we might have a shot, which is our real goal at the moment. Undying is annoying. I honestly think that we pass here, because I want to bank the spell mana and go with just Renekton next round. Or do I? We could take the open attack that takes advantage of his barrier on this, but it only pushes 2 damage. Yeah, I think we're gonna wait. Now that they have this too, if they find any glimpses, there's not much we can do about it. So in this instance, I think we're gonna go banner Renekton.
Chaos and destruction.
And this actually still leaves us flexibility because of cards like Exhaust, but we'll do it this way. We could lose Renekton to Black Spear here. That's a common card these decks include, but there's not a lot we can do about that. Like, we can't really play around it. So at this point, we just kind of let it happen, I think. Because we want to pressure them.
Observe the price of ambition.
Sand Spinner there. Interesting. Okay. Perhaps they want Undying to challenge this. Force me into an awkward block. Oh, okay. So they're going to do it that way. I think our best course of action at the moment would be to actually make use of this Cataclysm on Renekton so that he levels up. So he gets the buff, we get the overwhelm damage in, which is important as far as generating pressure. He goes to a 7-2, and then when they come back to attack, you know, we actually could have, I think, proactively sharp-sighted and dealt 2 more damage. So that's actually a hard misplay by me. We're gonna pretend that I did that. Just ignore me. And I think we want to go ahead and develop this because an exhaust here with the open attack is really solid for us. So yeah, we missed 2 extra damage. They should theoretically be at 4 here, but like I said, we're gonna pretend we're gonna pretend that I'm not absolutely terrible at this game. So we're gonna do this. Send a big croc. So they could have vengeance here at 7 or double black spear or surrender. So anyway, updated version of Jarvan doesn't use bannerman. I've been trying to figure out the best way to take advantage of Jarvan. I like this one. I still think Jarvan and Shen is also obnoxious. I've ran into it a bunch on the ladder lately. Everyone else had the same idea that I did, which was you just kind of swap around your curve a bit to make up for not having Fiora on the front end, but you have Jarvan on the back end, and it is still an annoying deck to play against. So go figure. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.